Om Sarvadharma Sthapakastvam Sarvadharma Swarupakaha Acharyanam Mahacharyo Ramakrishna Ayate Namaha. We have been studying Sri Ramakrishna is a great master, fifth part, master in divine mood and Narendranath. And in last 2 days, we read the first section of the 8th chapter. And those 2 classes, especially yesterday's class, was most profound of all the great master classes up till now. And so, it is absolutely necessary that once more we shall recapitulate what we have learned. And we should remember that Saradananda Swamiji's style, everything is connected, nothing is disconnected. So he starts telling us that Sri Ramakrishna said that there is woman in him and man in Narendra. And the meaning, he says, appears to be Sri Ramakrishna went with faith in scriptures and Guru, while Narendra did not believe in scriptures, in Guru, and he went through reason and analysis. Now, next point is why, how? So that is the connection. Why his mind was made like that? So the first influence in his life is his father. What happens, though Saradananda has not mentioned one thing, in the childhood it is the mother who influences. And when the buddhi rises, first it is only sentiment and feeling, and the mother guides. And Swamiji's mother was deeply religious, and she used to tell Ramayana Mahabharata stories, but that is not the point from where Saradananda Swamiji starts. When the child grows and some buddhi comes, then he always looks to his father as his guide. Now, I am telling of the hoary past in India, recent past in India. Today the scene may be different. Now, so the first influence in Narendra's life is his father. And his father had no faith in religion. And he taught Narendra free thinking. And about religion, he told Narendra that Bible is everything and that Hafiz's poetry is everything. But Saradananda Swamiji is telling, his father never followed them. It was just a bit of pleasure of a different type, temporary. So there was no religion in his father's life, and he taught him free thinking. So that was the first influence. irreligion. Now Narendra was of a different mode. He never could be irreligious. But the method of approaching God completely was changed by his father. That is the first influence. Next influence, because of that you must say, now in the atmosphere, it was the Western education prevalent here. And unless you are very orthodox and superstitious and sticking to religion, most of the people in India were becoming Christians. But Narendra did not become Christian. Narendra joined the Brahma Samaj, which they copied from Christians. And when Narendra saw that they are very shallow, they are not interested much in religion, Brahma Samaj, so he was not influenced by them also. Now the Western education tells us that you should have free thinking, you should have logic as the base of your thinking, and Western science gives us so many apparatuses to test things. So Naren went to medical college and attended lectures there in order to learn those methods and those instruments. And then he, poetry, literature, English, history, Indian, and here Indian is not mentioned deliberately, I will not understand. Of course, Indian history also through the Western eyes. But the history of England, what history does? Why Naren was interested in history? We must think connectedly. History shows the evolution of man. History shows the evolution of man's mind. How previously people thought, now how they are thinking. That is important history. History is not only political history. History is that which tells us how the man's mind has changed. So Narendra studied history and mainly is Western philosophy. Now in philosophy we see so many names mentioned. But the ultimate for Narendra was Immanuel Kant. Narendra thought that, before coming to Kant, that through reason I will find out God. I will find out the absolute reality through reason and analysis. And I told you the other day that the mathematician, also German mathematician, thought they will find God through analysis, but they could not. They could not. But why they could not? It is Kant only who has proved that. Superior to, of course, from Mill, Narendra learned logic. But Kant proved that, through reason he proved that, we cannot know the real nature of anything in this world through our mind. Because he found that mind itself is constituted with time, space, mentioned here, causation. And so, whatever we know through our mind, unless some heart or some higher faculty is born. So when we know everything through mind, this web, this network of time-space causation we throw, and what we catch in that, we know. I will tell you another incident in respect. There is a mathematician in India, Jayanta Narlikar. Have you heard his name? So, Big Bang Theory. So he came to Nagpur University and gave a lecture there. Students, they told me, I did not go. And I was telling that mathematicians know these things to some extent. So Jayanta said that we go to a room which is dark, but there is a stream of light somewhere. So we go to that stream of light and we find something there and we said, "Wow." That is what Jayanta said. The whole thing is dark. We do not know what is there. But in a stream of light, what we get, that is research. So, limitations of reason and these analytical methods, reason could not tell, can't tell it, but up to that point. And obviously, reason cannot tell what is beyond that. And all the entities which are really important in our life, God, Paraloka, and also real nature of Atman, all these are beyond reason. Reason has no scope there.
I think Stephen Hawking, he has also said the nature of the world or creation, if we want to know, we have to go beyond the creation to know it.
Definitely, definitely. Our professor of mathematics used to tell us, we do not know how many dimensions the world is. And we see its projection in 3 dimensions. And so we are not able to explain any phenomena of the world. So that was the turning point in Narendra's life. He thought up to that point that I will go to search God through Western methods, not Indian. And the Western education decried Indian methods so much. So that was the reason. And his father. So, but at this point was the turning point. He could not follow Kant in his life. Kant said, we cannot know the real nature of anything, so let us see how we can enjoy the world. But Indians will tell us we cannot enjoy the world if we do not know the real nature. It will land in misery. Utilitarians also Naren studied. So all these people somehow patchwork. Now, and he had come to Sri Ramakrishna before this full influence, before Kant. Though he studied all these Western things from inter to BA, and he came to Sri Ramakrishna at the time of his inter. So though he was proceeding in this way, he had extraordinary experiences because of Thakur. And because of his instincts, he had many experiences from his childhood. We learned of many of them, that he used to see light before sleeping. Science will not explain that.
How do we translate samskara? You said instincts, perhaps that may not explain
Huh?
whether it explains that because of Narendra's instincts, all
Instinct, deep sanskaras. Swami Vivekananda explained, instinct is reason gone deep. That is instinct. We are reason.
Instinct or intuition?
Huh?
Instinct or intuition?
No, intuition is higher. There are 3 levels: instinct, reason, intuition. And Swamiji has explained instinct. We repeatedly do something with reason. Then it becomes instinct. We know that instincts are deep-rooted sanskaras of the past life. You have reasoned there or whatever you have done, that has become your instinct. Now Narendra has come Saptarshi and that and that. So his inner constitution itself is different.
So that's why I question whether this word instinct is appropriate here. in our understanding.
Instinct, at present it is instinct now. Both the intuitive experiences and his reasoning, that at present is instinct now, the past ones. In that sense. Now, he did not give up the Western method because that is a sharp intellect. He found two very good qualities there. The scientific analysis and the rational analysis. Because when we go by faith, we do not know whether it is rational or not. And if it is not rational, Naren is not going to accept that. We have seen the funny things, Chataka and hundreds of things. So Naren was in a vicissitude whether to follow the Western methods or the Indian because of this Kant. So he did not give up the Western methods, he stuck to these two. That I will, through scientific observations, I will test everything. And I will reason, analyze, and then if I find it rational, then only I will accept in life, but that was it, not Kant. If I find it is rational, I will practice it in my life, 100%, 200%. Now that is the thing. And his experience. So he thought, it is mentioned here, even if Thakur becomes angry, I will not accept him unless I analyze. And if analysis brings me to atheism, I am ready to accept it. Though, again the instinct comes. So he is deeply rooted in the faith in God. And so, due to his faith in God, his experiences given by Thakur, he could never become atheist. But he was about to get the doubt of agnosticism. God may be there, but we cannot know it. That is what Kant is telling. But that produces such a restlessness is the word used here. But it is not restlessness of an ordinary man. Shaking of the whole personality. And that yearning. I will tell you a small incident. In Chennai, our village, we had a school in village also, and the boys were practicing a drama. They made a small drama. So in that, before coming to Thakur, Narendra is walking inside his room and is pulling his hair. If here also I hear that I have not seen God, where shall I go? So that was his anxiety. And so Thakur taught him something. Another thing, anthropomorphic. The study of Western philosophy and science told him that whatever we think, do, see, feel is in human mind. And so, though he saw Thakur again and again, but he could not believe his visions. He would say, that is what your mind thinks. Thakur asked him, don't believe. Thakur has infinite ways to teach. Don't believe. But you believe in God or not? He said, I believe in God. Why? That is called, that is, because the world exists, so there somebody, some intelligent force has to be there to control the world.
What they call
Teleology. No, I'll tell a funny incident. I have told many times that our West Bengal, some 10 years back, for more than 30 years, was ruled by the leftists. and they borrowed all their brain from Russia, electrons from China. So, to study the civic problems of Calcutta, so complicated problem, they called some experts from Russia. And they studied for 6 months. And at the end, they said, we cannot understand the problems even, what to suggest solution. But we believe in God now. Because this Calcutta, whose problems are impossible to understand even, is running. So there is a God who is a master planner. Shankaracharya has said in his Chatusutri, Manasapi achintya rupasya. This world is such that we cannot even, through imagination also we cannot understand. And such a world he has created. So he has to be Sarvajna Sarvashakya. So this theory, some scientists do not accept. And that is not the ultimate proof also. Anyway, so Thakur, one more thing, important thing. How he accepted prayer. Thakur told him, don't believe any form. Another important thing which the West or modern Indians totally forget. If our thought of God is anthropomorphic, our thought of the world is anthropomorphic. How do we know the world? Through our mind only, through human mind. This Kant taught Swami Vivekananda and Thakur knows it supremely. So, if we remove the ideas of God given by our mind, remove the ideas of world also from your mind. That is what Thakur taught him. And pray to God. You believe in God and you do not know its real nature. So pray to him to show you what is his real nature. This is what Thakur taught him. Whatever form comes in the mind, form of God or form of world, remove that. And Narendra is strongly willed and he knows meditation for Dhyan Siddha and all that. So remove every thought and keep a constant prayer in your mind. Oh God, I do not know your nature. Please reveal to me your real nature. And so Narendra practiced it. What happened? Another thing that he used to find very great joy. And whole night used to pass away in his meditation. So one night, another small point is that our gurus teach us, if we are doing japa or dhyan for a long time, then after that, you remain sitting on the same seat, relaxed. The spiritual experiences come at that point. Now, Narendra every day used to sit for some time, not expecting experiences, but because of that joy. So one day, when he was sitting like that, door is closed, room, but he is seeing somebody from a distance coming towards him. And he had a saffron cloth, kamandalu in hand, and radiating light from his personality. Narendra became curious to see. But when he came near, Narendra got afraid. Any strange things makes him afraid. So got up and came out of the room, opened the door and came out of the room. And then immediately thought, what foolish I am. Why am I afraid? I could have remained sitting and saw him talk. He wanted to talk something, that person. So Narendra went back and sat on his seat. Then nothing happened. It has gone. Then Naren says that now I feel I had seen Lord Buddha. Why Buddha? This is the method followed by Buddha. And if some method originally is followed by somebody, his impression is there. And he could have perhaps told Narendra something more, but that is what he found. In this relation, not jokingly, seriously, Swami Vivekananda, Mahapurush Maharaj, my Guruji, myself, we are Buddhists, Vedantic Buddhists. You understand the meaning? Destruction of I is the only way to get at truth. Now, little details I can tell about it. Narendra described, Vivekananda described to Sister Christine one mutt, and he described vividly where and what he did not tell. And we means he, perhaps Christine also, we lived in that mutt. Now, Swami Vivekananda passed away, and Sister Christine, in Bombay, you know, there is a Canary Caves. Outside Bombay, that is the Elephanta Caves in that island. But inside, on the mainland, there are Canary Caves. Caves means this. And she went there, and she saw it exactly as Swamiji had described, and that is the Buddhist monastery. So one link I am telling you. And there is, of course, we know when Thakur was in Kashipur, Narendra, and taking Tarak and Kali. Kali because he was a philosopher, and Tarak because he had also same method. So went to Kashipur, this Buddha Gaya. Anyway, that is the mold. So that is what is described here. And before that, every day he used to have very great joy. In between, they have mentioned Hamilton. Hamilton is different from Kant. Kant says through our mind we cannot know the real. Hamilton says that reason cannot take us to God. And reason, we get philosophy through reason. So when we end philosophy, religion will start. That is Hamilton said. The end of philosophy is the beginning of religion. And this sentence Swamiji liked very much. In Gospel we find Swamiji talking of this sentence. So that was a point in Narendra's life. He did not give up. Saradananda Swamiji said he did not give up study of philosophy. But emphasis is on sadhana. Because the philosophy is still, intellect is working, reason and all that is fine. But emphasis on sadhana. And after that, Thakur's teaching of the meditation. So this is the profoundest part of great master up till now. And we have to learn from that. Narendra is our ideal model. So if we are influenced by the Western thought, we should select from Western thought the scientific methods and the reason and analysis. Everything else Naren found to be useless. So we need not go to repeat those mistakes. You know, there is a saying in Marathi, it should be in all languages. पुढच्या स्थेच मागचा शहाणा. That means we are walking on the road and the man in front hits some stone or something. So the man behind becomes wise. He will avoid that. So from Narendra, this is what we have to learn. We need not go through all that, but we should keep our reason and scientific methods shining, and we must follow sadhana, and we are getting infinite faith in Thakur now. He knows, he is past master in all these things. In how many ways he has taught his disciples is beyond our idea. You know, in the gospel, in the second meeting, he is asking Master Master from outside, do you know Keshav is ill? I do not know. How is your wife? She is good, but ignorant. Thakur asking Vidya Shakti Ravidya, Master Master. Do you like? So if you are married, different way I will guide you. Do you have children? Yes. Oh, he has children. But Thakur is asking this, okay, I will guide you. If you do not have children, it's a different thing. He never wanted him to give up his house because he had children. Do you like Sakar or Nirakar? The meaning is that if you like Sakar, I will guide you. If you like Nirakar, I will guide you. That is what it is. So Thakur is past master. And Narendra could not have got any other guru at this point. So that is what is the first section. Now we come to the second section. Other things of his life, other bad experiences and all that, and how Thakur guided him. Chapter 8, section, I think yesterday's things I have revised to a lot of extent. Narendra's learning in the world and from the master continued. Narendra as a junior to Nimai Charan Basu, an attorney at law. You know attorney? Attorney is different from an advocate. Attorney at law, you mean. I was attorney once. Ramakrishna Mission had a property in Solan, in Himachal Pradesh. Solan is midpoint of Chandigarh and Shimla. And there was a great lawyer Swamiji, Suryanand Swamiji. He used to deal with all the properties. But then he had become old and that is nearer to Chandigarh. So the Belur asked me, will you become our attorney? So I had to go to court several times. So what is an attorney? To represent the original man. That original person gives an order of attorney. General attorney, particular. Particular is for this case. General means for all. Mapuji's father was Rani Rasmani's attorney. So this attorney should know all law and etc. etc. There was a famous attorney, Nimai Charan Basu, friend of his father. So father put Narendra to learn from him, even during his college days. Narendra spent his time in seclusion. In the end it was mentioned, he was doing sadhana, music and study. Because music is a great help for concentration of the mind and sadhana. So he was following. And sadhana and study for reason. So here that is brought again. Narendra spent his time in seclusion because it should not be disturbed. No, in Belur Math we are in seclusion, but did I tell you one thing? When my Guruji came to Mahapurush Maharaj to join, he said, go to Bhubaneswar. He said, I want to join because I want to stay with you. He said, Jara haak dak bhalobashe tara belumutte thakbe. President of the organization. Those who like noise and sound, they will stay in Belur Math. For people like you, who like tapasya, Raja Maharajas created Bhubaneswar Math. Go there. That was his command. Anyway, now we have come to this point. So let me tell you what my Guruji told me about Belur Math. After 9 years in Nagpur, I was to come to training center. And I was extremely anxious. I did not know Belur Math. But to leave my Maharaj's company, I was nervous totally. So Maharaj told me in Belur Math has two parts. It is the headquarters of Ramakrishna Mission and it is a math. And never go to that headquarters office. It is a vortex. Thoughts from all the world are coming there. And you will get crushed if you go there. But choose any, that seclusion comes, I remember. Choose any secluded spot and sit there. All Thakur's disciples will help you. They are there. That is what he told. Anyway. So, Narendra spent his time in seclusion, in studies, and the practice of austerity. Tapasya, we have seen that when he came to Thakur, he was sleeping on the floor and all that. And in frequenting the Dakshineshwar. Now, this is another funny thing. Later on, Narendra will tell us that. Thakur's main way was to attract through his love. So all the disciples, where they are going? Because they are attracted. And then he will teach them everything. Scold them, guide them, teach them. First is attraction. So, and Narendra has seen in the beginning, and he wants to study all those things. So, this is planning his future. So, this is Narendra at this point. Now, planning his future, Narendra's father employed him at that time to learn the profession of an attorney as a junior to Nimai Charan Basu, the well-known attorney of Calcutta. Thinking of Narendra's future, he will have to earn money. With a view to making his son live a worldly life, Vishwanath then began searching for a suitable bride. But that hope of his was being delayed as Narendra had a great objection to marriage. And the father himself could not find out a bride to his own liking. So by these two reasons, it was getting delayed. The master instructed Narendra to observe lifelong continence. That is supported by Thakur. Narendra himself does not want to marry. Father is influencing him. So Thakur comes in. How he learned everything from Thakur, positive. Though he kept his own thing. The master sometimes happened to go to Narendra's study at Ramtana Basu's lane, we know, in his grandmother's house. And sometimes a room near grandmother's house. Ramtana Basu's lane and give various instructions regarding sadhana, devotional exercises, etc. Why these two are mentioned? What is the original Bengali word? Something very important I am telling. Generally in the mission, those who are serious, jab dhyan is the word used. I never heard this word from my teacher, never. Sadhan bhajan, sadhan bhajan. And when I found in Leelaprasanga, I found Thakur's disciple, you talking the same thing. Sadhan bhajan has been translated, broken into two parts here. Now what is bhajan? He never taught me to sing, my guru. He also did not sing. So bhajan is not singing devotional song. Whatever we do out of devotion is called bhajan. Bhajan is the practical form of bhakti. So here it is translated as devotional exercises. Sadhana, devotional exercise. The original Bengali is sadhan bhajan. Important thing, keep in your mind. I am not against japa, or my teacher was never against japa, but japa should not become mechanical. There are japis. This word came 2-3 days back. How long they are doing japa? Anyway, I don't want to criticize, but there was one, Preeti Maharaj, the founder of Itanagar. He used to say, what is japa? Mental sursuri. Anyway, but the word here is sadhan bhajan. The word sadhana should be having a devotional element. Etc. Oh, one point from the previous section we missed. Narendra was taking only the good points of Western philosophy. But because of his proneness to that, his friends thought he blindly believes the West. So one day Narendra read the Gita. His father did not read the Gita, is mentioned here, because he did not know Sanskrit. Narendra read the Gita and praised it in front of his friends. So the friends were shocked and they told this to Thakur. Now Thakur, in a very soft way, said, I hope he has not said it due to some Western scholar. Understood? That Thakur said. Thakur knew that he has not done it to a Western scholar. He has independently found it. But that is the way Thakur puts it. He puts it in original Bengali as a question. Kona sahib bole che bole kare nahi to. Anyway. So Thakur used to give instructions regarding the sadhan bhajan. At that time, he always encouraged him to observe continence and warned him against foolishly binding himself down to matrimony at the plaintive request of his parents. We know what happened to Yogananda and others. Yogananda only. So Narendra will not accept it. But due to plaintive request of his parents, he should not accept it. So making Narendra's inner thing fun. The master said to him, as the result of observing continuous continence for 12 years, man has his retentive nerve open. What is the original you know? Meda Nadi. Meda has two meanings. Granthartha Dharana Shakti. Now Dharana itself has two meanings. You should feel that bhav and you should retain it. That is the retentive power. His intellect can then penetrate into the subtlest things and comprehend them. So the other side, he can retain and he can penetrate very deep. It is with the help of that intellect only that God can be realized. Meda, do you know that Meda Suktam? So you have covered God, Meda. So inside Meda, God is there. So God is not outside. So unless you have that deep penetrative power, how can you go to God? His intellect can then penetrate into the subtlest things and comprehend them. It is with the help of that intellect only that God can be realized. It is only to such a pure intellect that he reveals himself. God is realized means what? Remember a scripture line that Thakur is telling? Nayamatma pravachanena labhyo name dayana bhuvna shrutena yeme vaisha vrunute tena labhya tasesha atma vivrunute tanam swam. One who chooses God only, he gets how? The Atman reveals its own nature to him. How the puny subject is going to know the reality? When the mind is totally purified, as Thakur is telling, the reality shines in his mind. The nature of God becomes revealed to him. In Yogi Aravinda's words, ascent of man and descent of God. Now Thakur taught Turiyan Swami. We have read that in the Bhava Samadhi chapter. That Brahma Satya Jagan Mithya. And second meeting, Ishwar Kripa Vina Kichi Hoy Na. Nothing happens without his will, without his grace. So this is like, we have to do our sadhana. The I has to struggle to destroy I. And the reality will automatically shine. Shankar tells again and again, sadhana or Vedanta will not give you God. Vedanta will destroy your ignorance and God is your nature, it will shine. Anyway, every word is important in these chapters. It is only to such a pure intellect that he reveals himself. Naren used to argue that mind cannot realize God because mind is limited, sometimes less causation. Thakur used to say this mind cannot, but the pure mind can. Pure mind means remove this time, place and causation. And then he also used to add that pure mind itself is pure Atman. Because there is nothing other than Atman. Every member of Narendra's household was afraid that he would become a monk by moving with sadhu. You are afraid or not, it is going to happen. At that time, there arose an impression in the minds of the ladies of the house that Narendra was unwilling to marry owing to his close relation with the master. Though it was Narendra's own, and master is solidifying that. But they heard some conversation. And they said, due to him, he is not marrying. Narendra said, one day, he is telling, one day when the master came to my study room and was giving me the instruction to observe lifelong continence, my grandmother overheard everything and informed my parents of it. That is the world. They began making great efforts from that day on to marry me, lest I should become a monk by moving with sadhus. But of what avail was that, all that? All Swami puts credit to Thakur. All their efforts against the strong will of the master failed. Master is not only instructing, wherein that master's will was working on that. So no effort would succeed. Even when everything was settled, the marriage was negotiation broke off in a few cases on account of the difference of opinion between the two parties about trifling things. You know, the two parties have to agree what you will give us, what we will give you, and how to on some trifling matters. All this is Narendra's afterthought. He understood this. Narendra continued visiting the master as before, and he won't leave that. Although Narendra's frequent visits to the master at Dakshineshwar were not to the liking of anyone of this household, no one ventured to make any remark about it to him. For Narendra, the dearest son of his parents, paid no heed from his childhood to the restraint set by any one of his conduct, and took the liberty of behaving as he liked in everything. Because the father taught him freedom. All the household knew that if they tried to prevent the keenly intelligent Narendra from doing anything in the manner people prevent a boy or a weak-minded young man, it was probable that a contrary result would follow. Narendra would run away from house or something like that. I will tell you a funny story about somebody else. You know, staunch General Secretary Madhavan Swamiji. Now Madhavan Swamiji joined. His father came and forcibly took him and imprisoned him in a room. And to watch him, he appointed his younger brother. And they talked and talked with each other, and both of them came. You know Madhavanji's younger brother? Dayanand Swami, founder of Seva Position. Anyway, so Narendra therefore went on visiting the master at Dakshineshwar as before. Narendra's own words, now the most important part has come, the second section. Oh, I will read. Narendra's own words as to how he spent his time with the master at Dakshineshwar. The sweet memory of the days Narendra spent with the master at Dakshineshwar during this period filled his mind with infinite joy throughout his life. He said, "It is difficult to explain to others how blissfully I spent my days with the master. There is no limit to our astonishment when we think of how, through play, merriment, and other ordinary daily activities, he gave us high, exalted spiritual education." So play, merriment, everything is going on, instructing them. One incident in Kathamrut comes. Master Mashi is serious. And Thakur is joking with the boys as if he is of their age. And suddenly, in that laughter, the topic of Hanuman comes. How comes? Thakur brought it. And he's telling that story, Hanuman stealing the Brahmastra from Mandodari. And he says, Hanuman was an intelligent boy. So that is how Thakur taught. Play, merriment, and other ordinary daily activities. He gave us high, exalted spiritual education and molded our lives without our knowledge. play merriment, sir. And Thakur is molding their lives. Just as a powerful wrestler at the time of teaching a boy keeps his skill in reserve and displays only a part of his power as suits the purpose of teaching the boy, produces self-confidence in him, sometimes by defeating him seemingly with great effort and sometimes allowing himself to be defeated by him. So on many occasions, the master assumed that attitude in dealing with us at that time. He always saw a whole sea in a drop of water. Thakur saw the potentialities and magnified the virtues. Vivek Chudamani says, Paraguna Paramanu, Parvati Krutya Kechit, Hridi Vikasati Santa, Santi Santa Kir. The saints, Paraguna Paramanun Parvati Krutya. And they feel happy about it. As they say, having had in ecstasy the immediate knowledge of the fully developed tree, so potentially see, laden with fruits and flowers, which the seed of spirituality hidden in our heart would assume in future. He would praise and encourage us in every way and at all times, never negating anything. And observing very carefully each of our actions, he kept us under restraint by giving us instruction lest we should get entangled among desires and fail to reach the fruition of our life. But we could not know at all that he observed us so minutely and controlled us so effectively. That was an extraordinary skill which the master displayed in teaching us and molding our lives. We felt that the mind, although getting a little concentrated, one example is given. We felt here we is there or it was Narendra's problem? Hmm? About himself. In Bengal, it is about himself, not we. I felt that the mind, although getting a little concentrated at the time of meditation, could not dive deeper for want of a proper object. Niralambadan and Salambadan. So mind wants an object to hold on to. I asked him what he should, I asked him what I should do. When he told us what he himself had done in similar circumstances and suggested various useful methods. When I sat for meditation, this is we and now I has come. When I sat for meditation during the last part of the night, the mind, I remember, became distracted and deflected from the object of meditation on account of the noise produced by the whistling sound of the jute mills of Almadar. When I referred the matter to him, he advised me to concentrate my mind upon the sound of the whistle itself. And I derived much benefit from that. That disturbs you, concentrate. On another occasion, I apprised him of my difficulty in forgetting the body and concentrating the mind on the goal and sought his advice. He mentioned the words addressed to him by Sri Totapuri at that time of his sadhana Vedantic Samadhi and sharply pierced my forehead between the eyebrows with the tip of his nail. Totapuri had done with a glass piece and Thakur by his nail, saying, concentrate your mind upon that pain. And actually I found that the pain produced by that cut could be kept uniformly in the mind as long as I liked. And I completely forgot even the existence of all the other parts of the body. Deshavanda Chittasya Dharana. Deshavanda strongly done by pain. Forgot even the existence of all the other parts of the body, let alone the risk of mind being distracted by them. The secluded Panchavati, the place of the master sadhana, was very well suited for our meditation and other spiritual exercises because Thakur has practiced there. Why speak of spiritual exercises alone? We spent much time there in play and merriment also. At that time, at those time, how it is? Times it should be, agar those hai to. The master too joined us as far as possible and added to our happiness. There we ran about, climbed trees and sitting in the swing formed by the Madhavi creeper as strong as a cable, swung freely and merrily, and sometimes a picnic, cooking our meals ourselves. Seeing that I cooked with my own hand on the first day of the picnic, the master himself took that cooked rice and other preparations. I knew that he could not take cooked rice out of the hands of people other than Brahmins. I was going to arrange for him the offered food of the temple, but he prevented me from doing so and said, "Nothing will happen to me if I take food cooked by a person of pure sattva like you." I raised repeated objections, but he did not. He did take the rice cooked by me that day without paying attention to my remonstration. Om सर्वधर्मस्थापकस्वं सर्वधर्मस्वरूपकः आचार्याणां महाचार्यो रामकृष्णाय ते नमः। ओम शांति शांति शांति। हरि ओम तत्सत्। श्री रामकृष्णार्पणम्।